How League of Legends Conquered the World. Guam, 1998.
Nick was an American high school student living on the island of Guam. Growing up on an island is a bit of a double-edged sword in many regards.
True, you can always find a friend's mom to fuck, but you always need to look behind you in case someone tries to fuck your mom. It happens in close-knit communities like that.
Islands can be paradise with beautiful landscapes, but sometimes bored high schoolers just want something to do.
Your
For
mom,
Nick,
mostly.
that something ended up being playing computer games. Real-time strategy games were hugely popular during the time and had caught Nick's attention.
True.
He had been playing games like Homeworld and Starcraft religiously to a point.
Homeworld is a niche thing not many people know about, but Starcraft, everyone knows Starcraft was the biggest thing in the universe back then. Whole Korean economies are based off of Starcraft still to this day.
Where he was starting to learn how to mod the games himself. StarCraft in particular had a pretty detailed map editor included in its main expansion, which allowed players to create their own custom maps and modded versions of the game they could then share with others across the internet. This really caught Nick's attention, and before long he was creating and publishing his own games to the web. Shortly after that, Nick began to develop a small following who enjoyed paying attention to his games, eagerly awaiting his next release.
All these stories of crazy success and crazy things happening start with someone just doing it as a hobby. Because these people do it because they love it, not for the money, at least initially.
Would make dozens of games over the course of a number of years, but his magnum opus
DBZ RPG The Sagas. This was a mop in Warcraft 3. Warcraft 3 still has, by the way, Dragon Ball maps, and they're legendary most of the time.
came out in 2001. It was called Eon of Strife.
We're gonna go that far back, huh? Eon of Strife is something that everyone attributes the birth of the MOBA genre. In reality, it's nothing of the sorts. Eon of Strife was where kind of the idea came from, but if you have seen how Aeon of Strife looks, it's nothing at all like the MOBAs that you see nowadays, or what Dota All-Stars used to be when it came out. Or should I say just Dota at the time of Warcraft 3. Not even close.
The basic idea behind Eon of Strife was a team of 4 players were tasked with fighting in a war between 2 armies while only being able to control 1 character each. This all took place on a specialized battlefield that featured...
Oh shit, he actually has them up. Yeah, look at this. This is nothing. You would not think that this is actually even close to Dota. And no one would blame you, because it's honestly kinda not. It's completely different.
2 bases, 1 on each side of the map, with 4 lanes connecting them. Every few minutes, minion units would spawn from each base and run down the lanes until they met the opposing army and began fighting. The goal for the players was to fight alongside their hordes of minions, eventually pushing back the enemy forces, making it to the enemy base, and destroying it. All of this was originally played against a...
Well, the win condition is still the same for literally every MOBA out there. There hasn't even been a MOBA with an alternative win condition just destroying the main base building.
A computer that had slightly stronger units than the players did, which is where the challenge came in. The 4 teammates would have to work together.
Ah, yes. The thing about Aeon of Strife is, this was pretty much almost a single-player game to a degree. There were 4 people, but you were only playing against an AI. There were no opponent heroes, no nothing. It was just you and 3 other people.
Helping each lane that fell behind before the enemy team overran their base. The one thing players had going for them, though, was their champions would be slightly stronger than the average minion, as players got to choose to play as one of 6 unique heroes. These heroes had special stats and abilities, and anytime they got a killing blow on an enemy minion, they would be granted a bit of currency they could later use to upgrade their character. It was a fun little map that caught enough attention online that fans were still thinking of it when Blizzard released their next game. In 2002, Warcraft 3 debuted, which was a game that looked almost suspiciously like Eon of Strife.
It was a game that honestly changed the landscape of gaming. From Warcraft 3, not only did Dota and the MOBA genre emerge, but tower defense games actually became popular. Games like Balloons originally were pretty much conceived in Warcraft 3. Well, not even in Warcraft 3. Honestly, it was in Starcraft, if I'm not mistaken. But Warcraft 3 pushed everything to the next level. Warcraft 3 was the game that absolutely broke everything because it was just so good. It wasn't clunky, and the modding for it, the opportunities to make custom maps for it, was what pushed this game to the status that it currently has.
Although it was another traditional real-time strategy game released from Blizzard Entertainment with the normal base building and army management always included, Warcraft 3 introduced a new idea to the genre, heroes. Players
So, this is a thing that MOBA players have. Every time some game does something even remotely similar to what your favorite MOBA does, people instantaneously start screeching, "Oh, they stole this from our game." In reality, none of the sorts. Warcraft 3 did not steal the idea of heroes from Aeon of Strife. That's just what the Aeon of Strife people want to scream about. The concept of heroes existed already in StarCraft 1. StarCraft 2, and so on. There were special units that were way stronger, and they were designated as hero units.
were now given unique characters that had special abilities and could fight alongside their hordes of minions in battle. It didn't take long for old Aeon of Strife fans to notice the similarities, and soon many were recreating their mod in Warcraft 3. One of those fans was a kid named Kyle Summer, better known online by his username Yule, who called his
Uh, this guy is the reason Yule's Scepter of Divinity is called Yule's Scepter of Divinity. A lot of names in Dota have been given to by people who actually modded, did things like that. And Yule's Scepter of Divinity is one of those things. League of Legends has also Ginso's Rage Blade, and I think it also had something else, but I'm not 100% sure what. I know only Ginso's Rage Blade.
version, Defense of the Ancients, or simply Dota. His version of Dota was a little bit different from classic Aeon of Strife in that it was now
Way
played on a
different.
3-lane map and included 5 players on each team. Dota
Also, this is a very old map. Look at that. Droshan Pit is only here.
also expanded on the roster of playable heroes by a very wide margin, as it was now easy for fans to take basic Warcraft 3 characters and import them into their own mod. Shortly after, Warcraft 3 would have its own expansion released, coupled with another highly detailed map editor. Seeing the potential for the game to grow,
How many of you tried to do something in the map editor and then gave up because, it was just too complicated and it was too everything? I did. I made some green grass, maybe a hill or two. Looked like boobs. Was happy.
Kyle made a really selfless decision to release his game's source code so anyone could copy and build their own version of Dota. Soon, dozens of Dota variants, each with unique heroes and items, were being made and shared all across the internet.
Yeah, this was the beginning. Also, in this stage, if you wanted to play Dota in Warcraft 3, no, you got instantaneously kicked out of any lobby where you did not already have the game downloaded. Because if you did not have the game downloaded, that meant most likely you're playing it for the first time. Which means you're probably leaving in 5 minutes. Which means the game's gonna get ruined really fast. So you needed to know where to download the link to the newest map so you do not get booted instantaneously.
Till 2 friends had an idea. A couple of Dota players who went by the names Mian and Ragnar gathered all of the best heroes they found in all the variants of Dota across the web and created a single mod that included all of them, called Dota All-Stars.
Yep, that's what the All-Stars means. A little bit vague, I know. Also, the word Dota, some people do not know it, but it means actually Defense of the Ancients. Some people do not know it, and All-Stars also has a meaning behind it.
In 2004, the mod really began picking up steam when it made its way to the University of Wisconsin. There, a young student named Steve Feek, who went by the online username Ginsu, picked up All-Stars and began patching it. Ginsu originally began fiddling around with the game because he wanted to fix some of the bugs he kept running into when he was playing games with his old college buddies, but before long he was releasing regular versions of it with even more changes to make the game more fun.
So, Ginsu was one of the people that Riot employed instantaneously when they started developing League of Legends. One of their main selling points was the fact that they have specifically Ginsu on their team and that he was an ex-Dota developer. Because Ginsu developed Dota for a little bit of time. Now, the changes that he added are arguable. Some people like them, some people didn't like them. That's pretty much the classic way things go. So, yeah. That's why his name is big. That's why he got so big. Because at the MOBA rush, gold rush of MOBAs, everyone wanted to try and snag at least someone who worked on Dota previously, because that was the name that started blowing up the genre fully.
Adding item trees for players to further customize their characters, as well as adding a boss monster to the map named after his bowling ball. But the most significant change was Ginsu thought this genre of game might be more fun if instead of fighting waves of AI minions, players instead fought each other. That was the change that blew Dota up into the mainstream.
True. Boss Hunter Dota, there's even a song about that. Yeah, that seems about right.
It's difficult to describe what made the game so fun, but by 2005, Dota was becoming a worldwide success.
Yep.
At Blizzard's first ever annual BlizzCon event, they hosted a Dota tournament, even though it was all for a game they didn't even make. The fact that Dota found so much success while being...
The oldest footage in Dota that you can find about tournaments was from the absolutely OGs. People like Puppy and Dendy, they were at these BlizzCons fighting for a title, being the best at Dota when there was not even a real cash prize to be taken. And that maybe is one of them. I'm not sure. It could be.
Being nothing more than a custom map in another...
That maybe is That looks like Puppy. There's a big chance that is Puppy. Because I think they were on the same team. I don't remember were they on the same team, but yeah. It was so big, people wanted to be the best, even though there was not a cash prize associated to. I think the cash prize was a couple of $100 and that was it. That was how impactful the start was.
Person's game was remarkable, but it didn't take long for the game's limitations to begin showing. Because every Dota match had to be run through a Warcraft 3 custom lobby, the game would never be able to have independent features like a matchmaking service, ranked ladder, or punishments.
That is not true.
System for players who abandoned games. If this new genre was ever going to have those features, it would have to become a standalone title.
Okay, yeah, this is absolutely not true. At some point, admittedly, I do think this was a little bit too late, but this was not even when Dota was announced as a standalone game, when League of Legends was announced as a standalone game. Warcraft 3 lobbies started being hosted by independent bots. And Dota lobbies were also hosted by independent bots, where every player had a specific KDA, their stats recorded, and are they a leaver or not. So this problem was kind of alleviated. There was still no real ranking system, but leaving the game was no longer an option if you did not want to get punished. Because Channel All-Stars, the previous birthplace where people started doing Dota in a more organized and professional fashion, that slowly started to erode. Games were still happening there, but a lot more people got introduced to Dota as a genre because of the bot-hosted lobbies, where your stats were recorded. By the way, I had a 10-1 KDA. Just want to flex a little bit.
And in 2006, someone had the idea to make exactly that. Dota fanatics Brandon Beck and Mark Merrill founded Riot Games that year, and shortly after went around hiring many original Dota creators,
and they got Ginsu
to develop their own game. That
Ginsu
game
was
known
the
today
big name.
as League of Legends would...
The biggest game of pretty much all time. I don't think there is a bigger game nowadays than League of Legends, and Dota has completely lost the war.
Proved to be everything the original mod couldn't be, growing past all previous limitations. League of Legends had a long and trying development it had to go through before ever seeing the light of day. Most of the developers working on the game were nothing more than fans of a custom Warcraft map with very little professional game design experience beyond that. When it came to building their own game engine and early prototypes, there were always loads of problems they were running into, which eventually led to a pretty buggy experience at first. Similarly, Riot had a bit of a conundrum they had to answer.
This was their early UI. Everyone had a UI like this, and after everyone switched because people started becoming more competitive, and so people quickly understood that the bottom side has an advantage over the top side. In League of Legends, currently there is a thing that balances MMR based on which side you are on. The red side is always going to be slightly more skilled and higher MMR and higher performing than the blue side, because the blue side has an advantage. Even though League of Legends map is 100% mirrored, there is still an advantage when you are looking from the bottom up, because it's just easier to play that way. And that's why all MOBAs have reduced this as much as possible, so no one has the advantage, or the advantage is minimized as maximum. Dota even at one point was contemplating of making it so that the top side, the people who are on the top, get their cameras reversed and they see themselves as from the bottom, so to remove this advantage. Never panned out, but still.
And what their game would actually be. While they certainly knew they were making a Dota-style game with a 3-lane map, players choosing characters and customizing their playstyle through items and role choices same as ever, there was always a question of whether or not certain things should be changed. Many original Dota elements were things that were simply left over from the Warcraft 3 engine, like the day-night cycle, slow turn ratios, and an ability to kill your own minions.
Yes. These are all things that League of Legends removed. There's no day-night cycle, aka there's no vision difference. In Dota, you have all these things, and that's why for a very long time you had the MOBA war between League of Legends fans and Dota fans. Which game is more this and more that? And to be honest, I like League of Legends a lot more. I have a video literally not even 2 months ago made about why you should stop playing Dota 2, and I'm someone who has more than 10,000 hours in Dota. And I say you should play League of Legends because it's just a superior game. But skill-wise, Dota has many more things. There's night vision, there's day vision, there's denying creeps, and so on. And while that is not necessary, there is a very huge difference that this crystallizes in the competitive scene. I hope he talks about the competitive scene, then I will actually speak about that. It looks like... Oh, crowds, yeah, he will talk about it. So, when the time comes, boys.
Riot would go on to remove all of these elements, much to the chagrin of Dota diehards, but they believed doing so would streamline the experience, creating faster gameplay that was easier to understand and felt more responsive to play. Many of these quality of life updates in retrospect were probably a pretty good idea, but one evening, Riot took things a bit too far. At some point during development, Riot made the decision to make their main game mode a 6 versus 6 experience rather...
Yeah, I remember this one. This was, the idea was 2-2-2 lanes, and that's pretty much it. Or 2-1-2, and there was a jungle, I don't exactly remember, because they wanted to go completely off the wall, so no one dares to call them a Dota clone. Even though at the time... Okay, so here's the thing about League of Legends. We live in a world where League of Legends is currently the biggest game ever. The Riot Gaming Company is, in my opinion, the future of the games industry in general. But if things happened a little bit different, there is a huge chance that League of Legends would not have existed. First of all, there happened the MOBA rush. Everyone was making a MOBA. But there was a lawsuit between Blizzard and Blizzard Entertainment, the original place where Dota got created, and they did not want to give the name to Valve, so that delayed them. And then Heroes of Newerth came, Han, which was a complete garbage dumpster fire of a game that was accredited the most through Dota's successor. And that game was absolute dumpster fire, and it didn't even stand close to League of Legends. So everyone just went to play League of Legends because the only real Dota successor was trash.
Rather than the traditional 5 versus 5 Dota had always been. They were probably thinking the number of players per team had changed before, and maybe this could improve the experience further.
Theoretically,
in interviews
yes.
as late as April of 2009, just months before release, Riot was promoting League as a game specifically with 6v6 gameplay. But sometime in the following months, this change would be reverted, and it's not hard to guess why. The Dota genre may have small details that could be improved upon with added or removed mechanics, but the overall structure of the formula was perfect. 5 players per team just kind of worked for whatever reason. An increase.
It works for casual play, but for competitive, it's a completely different story.
Increasing or decreasing that number made the experience way less fun. Riot would then go on to release League of Legends later that year as a 5 versus 5 experience and stayed away from making any other fundamental changes to the game. The release of League marked the birth of this new genre that would eventually be dubbed the MOBA. In its early
Oh no, that is flat out not true. So the thing with the word MOBA is people just wanted to call people just wanted to create a name to call this genre by because there was no real genre name for it. There was just Dota-likes, and a lot of people obviously did not like the idea of Dota-like when they wanted to hit it big. So the word MOBA was created. League of Legends was not even, I think it was not even the first game that tried to imitate Dota's success on a standalone game. So all these games together created the word MOBA, just to describe the genre. Because if you read it here, multiplayer online battle arena, yeah, that describes literally every game you have ever played with more than one person in it. Every shooter theoretically is a multiplayer online battle arena. Everything is, well, everything is this. So the word doesn't actually mean anything, but it was not coined by Riot or League of Legends in general.
early era, League was a pretty rough, buggy mess due to many of the hiccups that Riot kept running into during
Good
development.
times.
But even so, the gameplay proved to be fun enough that it garnered a small community. Now that the wider world had finally been exposed to this new genre of game that up until now had only been reserved to custom map-making communities, they thought it was pretty fun too. Soon, League of Legends began snowballing to becoming one of the most popular online games there were, as well as the biggest competitive esport on the planet.
Oh, whoa. I will give you this. And everyone who plays League of Legends, either you're a complete fanboy who has lost touch with reality, or you will agree with what I'm about to say. League of Legends has, I'm pretty sure, like roughly 20 times more active players per day than Dota. But Dota still outperforms League of Legends when it comes to the competitive stage. People who play League of Legends don't watch League of Legends esports because it's boring. It's absolutely garbage. In League of Legends, an action-packed esports game is when the KDA per minute is 0.7 or something like that. If it's 1 kill per minute, then you know that it's an absolute bloodbath. It's just boring. People do not like it. And this is the thing that, in my opinion, League of Legends sacrificed. When you remove all of these small things like the day-night cycle, denying, and so on, you make it so that there is very little room for error. In League of Legends, you don't have the ability to surprise your opponent. Your opponents, most of the time, know exactly where you are. In fact, League of Legends gives you tools to pretty much always be on the know where your opponents are. In Dota, there are constantly being tools added to make the games faster if the games aren't if the games aren't fast enough. There are ways to gank people. Half of the time, teams don't know where the other team is. It's an absolute bloodbath. If in League of Legends the average KDA per minute is 0.5 and the average first blood happens a couple of years ago, the average first blood happened, I shit you not, 10 minutes in a competitive game because everyone was just playing safe. In Dota, the first blood usually happens in the first 2 minutes. In Dota, most games have a 1.5 KDA per minute on average, and a lot of the times the KDA is 2 point something. Well, 2.0 is pretty active, but the esports is absolutely in esports these games are absolutely uncompatible. League of Legends is just so boring. League of Legends players don't want to watch League of Legends competitive games. League of Legends players watch Dota esports. Dota fans watch Dota esports. People who do not play Dota watch Dota esports because it's just so interesting and fun. The team fights last so much longer. There's so much more suspense. In League of Legends, on average, if a team gets like a 2k gold advantage, and I'm being generous, and I'm being a lot more hyperbolic here, in 10 minutes, if a team has like a 2k gold advantage, they probably won. Because in the League of Legends, because everything is so organized, the map is smaller, and everything can be kept in check. It is so harder to even come back from a 1k gold advantage. The game that gets the gold advantage first usually wins in League of Legends. In Dota, there are constant upsets where even a 50k gold advantage swing sometimes happens. A team is behind 50k gold, but they pull it back. In Dota, it's just undeniable. League of Legends is a better game in general because it's just more fun. But in Dota, man, the esports just is the best in the world. Dota esports is uncontestably 100% the crowning jewel of esports. You know, CS, Valorant, and all of those games kind of are pretty good also, but Dota is 100% the best. League of Legends, everyone knows about League of Legends, but that's because they just have like 10 million players per day actively, which is literally 20 times more than Dota 2 has.
As well as the biggest competitive esport on the planet, and other gaming companies took notice. From the titans of the gaming industry to television shows to even Blizzard themselves, it didn't take long for everyone to start making their own MOBA game with their own characters and ideas for the genre.
Heroes of the Storm was interesting, but everything else was garbage. Everyone was in on the gold rush, and that honestly helped League of Legends a lot. Dota got delayed, League of Legends was big, and every other game tried to claim it is the next Dota, not the next League of Legends, which people now are trying to claim that they are the next League of Legends. How the times have changed. So League of Legends got a huge boost from that because everyone was trying to suck off of Dota's success, while Dota 2 did not exist, while League of Legends was just accumulating an audience of their own.
Genre. MOBAs still had many characteristics that the outside world saw as flaws, like the hyper-competitive community and incredibly steep learning curve.
Yeah, it seems
so perhaps
about right.
It's no surprise so many companies jumped on the bandwagon trying to fix the genre with the hopes of being rewarded with a massive payday. But what was a surprise?
What was this called? I forgot. Heroes of the Storm. Heroes of the Storm beta keys sold for 1,000 at the time. When you could get in. Those beta keys sold literally for 1k each. It was absolute insanity. Heroes of the Storm could have actually made it, because at the time Blizzard was still considered a pretty good developer. But they just made... They saw the success of League of Legends, that it simplified the Dota formula, and then they decided, hey, we can just simplify it even more so a brain-dead toddler could play this. And people didn't exactly like it because there was no itemization, there was no this, none of that. It was an interesting spin, but it was not special enough.
Was how many of them failed. The decade of the 2010s was filled with MOBA releases, but virtually none of them survived.
Bloodline Champions, I'm pretty sure that was not that was Stunlock Studios. Yeah, Bloodline Champions was not a Dota-like.
Half of all releases don't even have live servers anymore, while the other half are supporting smaller communities than what they had at launch. League of Legends and Dota are basically the only two MOBA games that still...
And Dota's not even, honestly, keeping in touch with reality. Dota's just a shit game. Again, I have a video about that, you can watch it. Dota has nothing. Valve had actually a shot at becoming bigger still than League of Legends, despite all the setbacks that they suffered. But Valve's approach of, well, we're not gonna put any dollars in marketing, it just is killing Dota. They don't want to make the community better. They don't want to market their game. It's trash. Dragon Blood is awesome, but who knows about Dragon Blood? Only Dota players, pretty much. While Arcane, your fucking dead grandma knows what Arcane is because because Riot paid graveyard digging shifts money so they put advertisements on in the coffins. League of Legends is doing everything to be the best, while Valve is just slowly being, the Valve magic touch, do nothing and hope for the best. It's kind of sad because Dota had a chance to actually rival League of Legends, but Valve completely screwed the pooch.
See widespread popularity today. You can make any number of guesses for why nobody else succeeded in this space, but in my humble opinion,
because they were all rushed pieces of shit that were just trying to get in on the gold rush.
I believe it's because this genre of game is kind of antithetical to traditional corporate game development. Normally, video games get made when a publisher hires a studio led by a director to create a title, all in a very controlled environment. This group is trying to make something that is obviously fun, but sometimes they're thinking about things beyond that. Publishers need to keep costs down while selling as many copies as possible to turn a profit, so development teams are often given strict timelines with low pay and rough working conditions. Similarly, many design decisions have...
So this was not the case with Dota, by the way. Considering Dota is the best competitor to League of Legends, this was not the case with Dota. If Valve tried to rush Dota 2, Dota 2 would probably not exist at this point. If you have not seen the earliest drafts of how Dota looked and how it played, it was horrible. If Dota was released to the wider public at that stage, League of Legends would crush it. League of Legends would be the only MOBA out there currently, because nothing else would exist. And Dota, again, is kind of not even barely there anymore.
Have to be made with things other than fun in mind. If you want to sell as many copies as possible, after all, being fun isn't the only thing that matters. You need a game that's also easy to learn, appealing to general audiences, enjoyable by all ages, and packaged with a friendly face.
Ah, yes, the boomer attitude towards gaming. It's like a classic druid in World of Warcraft. Master of what's the name? What's the phrase I'm looking for him? Jack of all trades, master of none. I think that's how it goes.
League of Legends was significant because it was the exact opposite of all of that. This was a genre built by a collective group who were just trying to make something fun and nothing else. It began with a single high schooler making a custom Starcraft map and soon got passed around like a game of telephone with loads of voices volunteering their own ideas to the creative process until it grew to be larger than any one of them. Nobody was thinking about profit or deadlines. Nobody was worried if the game would be easy to learn or how to...
I'm pretty sure everyone was thinking about profits. He doesn't mention it here, but there were other ex-Dota developers that actually started work on their own spin on Dota. Again, that's why I said that everyone wanted a piece of the I was working at Dota at some time in my life pie.
Friendly community, or whether it would even be finished, it was just a group of hyper-competitive elitist nerds trying to make something that would be fun for themselves, and they accidentally ended up creating the greatest...
No, that's a lie. That's absolutely just over-romanticizing what League of Legends was. They went out and they wanted to make a game that's gonna absolutely dominate the market. Their intentions were not even close to, oh, we're just gonna make a company so we can make a game so we can make it for like 5 people that wanna play. No. It was intentional.
Competitive video game format of all time. At a certain point, I don't think...
And again, no, that's just reaching.
Anyone could even tell you what made the game they came up with work so well. Why the 5 players per team? Why the 3 lanes? Why play all of this on a single unsymmetrical map? Later MOBA games...
Wait, it is symmetrical. Yeah, League of Legends is literally perfectly symmetrical. There is literally no difference if you cut the map in half in any way. It's literally always the same. It is literally the epitome of symmetry.
Games, including League itself, would try adding new game modes and maps to give a fresh experience for veteran players.
Fail.
When League was released in 2009, in addition to Summoner's Rift, it also shipped with a 3v3 two-lane map called Twisted Treeline.
Yep.
Early promotional material for the game marketed League as something worth playing.
Twisted Treeline was pretty good at the start, but it had a lot of problems because hyper carries were the only way you could honestly play that, and it was at the time when Master G just bought boots and ran at you and you were kind of fucking dead. Well, still kind of the case to a degree, honestly. But at that time, it's like just pick Wuju style level 1, got more anything than you, and just fuck everyone up.
Specifically because you could play more than one map. Later still, one of the earliest major new projects Riot took on was the creation of a territory-style game mode on another new map called Dominion, played on the Crystal.
I completely do not understand why Dominion even ever came into existence. How did they not learn this lesson after Twisted Treeline? Or was this game mode still on while Twisted Treeline was a thing? But they saw it in their statistics. They knew that creating anything but the main experience of the game is detrimental for your player base, that you are diluting your player base for no real benefit, and people get tired of the worst product in your game. In general, if you are making a game, you do not want to sell a game and then there's in that game 3 different, completely almost different games to choose from to play. At some point, someone's gonna get pissed that they can't play their mode because there's not enough people, and that's just inviting failure to a degree.
Scar. When both of these maps were released, they garnered a relatively positive response from fans who thought they were a fast and fun change from the regular 5v5.
True, very true. What he says here is very true. It's a fast-paced change from what you're used to. AKA, it's pretty much just legitimately used by people as a way to relax, to blow off steam.
Mode. But after a few years, both of these maps proved to be so unpopular that they were removed from the game entirely. In fact, the only game mode in League today, other than 5 vs 5 Summoner's Rift matches that still finds some popularity, is All Random All Mid. Another community-created game mode that fans built for themselves.
All Random, All Mid takes like 10 minutes if I'm not mistaken to play, so that's why it's there. No one's leaving the base game just to screw around with that. And that's an easy way, I think, to complete the quests that you have and things like that. So Riot is using that as a way to keep players engaged. But every other game mode and game map that they have had, for example, Earth is an extremely popular one. They should have honestly known this before they did it, because other companies have already given their statistics on situations like this. And you don't need to look at other mobs; you just need to look at almost any game in general that does this. They don't leave Earth as a permanent mode in League of Legends, and I'm pretty sure they even said this once in an interview, because people play that and then they quit the game because of burnout, and they don't want to play the normal version anymore. They introduce, if something like that stays for too long in the game, people are gonna leave the game. That's essentially the effect that ends up being. People burn out. So maps like this can only be used in short bursts of time, so people are reinvigorated to play League of Legends in general.
Through League custom games.
I mean, Dota actually had, by the way, a mode like that. Most of the time it was minus AR AM? Yeah, I think it was AR AM.
What makes the MOBA genre
all random, all mid
so interesting is how a community created a game that was so fun it proved to be more enjoyable than anything every mega corporation could put together. In fact, traditional institutions didn't even understand the genre themselves. In the early 2010s, the original Dota developers who didn't go on to work at Riot ended up getting hired by Valve to create a
Yup.
standalone Dota project that would eventually
Ice
become
Frog.
Dota 2. As the game was being rolled out, Valve filed a trademark for the word Dota, which is a standard legal procedure.
This also helped League of Legends a lot, because Blizzard, as I stated somewhere before, fought them over the trademark.
For any other video game genre, but it immediately created a nightmare legal battle in this one. At the time, Blizzard was developing their own MOBA game that was
Blizzard Dota, if I'm not mistaken, it was called bullshit.
literally called Blizzard Dota.
Yep.
They were simply operating under the assumption that they owned the trademark and copyright for Dota,
Yep.
since it was.
And now in Warcraft 3 Reforged, they have a clause. If you accept playing the game, you are instantaneously forfeiting all of your trademark rights for any map that you make. This is because of this situation.
Was something created in their own games. They originally tried to stop Valve from filing the trademark, but Valve believed they had full rights since the latest Dota developer, Ice Frog, was working to build Dota 2 with them. Additionally, a rioter who ran one of the early Dota community sites filed a countersuit to try and stop the trademark, as he believed the community themselves owned Dota. He thought they should own the rights to the game, so Valve couldn't.
Yeah, obviously that's not the case. He romanticizes a couple of things a little bit too hard. League of Legends is the biggest competitive game in the world, but it's not the most loved. And, same with this. Riot Games did not just randomly decide, hey, you can have the Dota name. The original name means nothing. Ha ha ha. We're gonna help. No, Riot tried to make it as hard as possible and delay things as much as possible. Because the real name Dota and the most recent developer, the most known developer, in fact, Ice Frog, was behind it. That was a huge, huge, huge potential blow to Riot if that actually happened and transpired. So, they did not do any of that out of kindness.
Shut down.
They tried to delay it and make, if possible, make it so that there would actually be no game called Dota, just to be safe. It's a smart business move, and it's the right business move from a business analytical standpoint.
The original mod if they wanted to in an attempt to funnel old fans into their own release. Eventually, Valve seemed to agree to give up non-commercial use of the word Dota, ensuring the original mod's survival in exchange for the commercial rights to promote and sell their own product. But the fact that lawsuits were even filed and this ended up in a court shows just how strange the circumstances were around this genre's creation.
Not at all. This is pretty much common practice. Do not make mistakes. This is literally common practice.
It's really unlike anything else out there. Riot has since reflected on this history and coined a phrase for it: black licorice culture. See, red licorice is something everyone likes. Nobody turns down a Twizzler. But the fact that it's so ubiquitous kind of makes red licorice feel not all that special. Black licorice, by comparison, might only be enjoyed by a fraction of people, but the
lizard people, he means. Literally lizard people.
People who do like black licorice really like it. League of Legends was something that was built to only appeal to a small group of people, but they loved it so much they...
Okay, I will probably give it... Yes, it was built to appeal to a group of people, but that group of people was not small. That group of people was not small at all. Everyone saw the success of Dota, and everyone understood, wait a minute, we can kind of get a piece of the pie there. And that's what League of Legends did. And there's absolutely no shame in saying that.
Couldn't help but force everyone else to give it a try. And of all the players who've picked up League over the years, there's one person that I believe
yeah, that's Faker.
Represents this game better than any other.
Faker. Oh. To be continued, I guess. Yeah, but that's 100% Faker. Even if you don't know what League of Legends is, you probably have heard of Faker. He is crowned as the unanimously greatest League of Legends player of all time. Pretty sure that's the case. So yeah, 100% Faker. Climbing from poverty to worlds, a League of Legends, cool. Anyway, that's the video. A little bit very romanticized view on how things honestly happen, but it is insane. The history of this genre, the history of everything is absolute insanity. A little bit different, and we could have had no League of Legends. A little bit different, we could have not have Dota, and League of Legends would be uncontested in this day and age. A little bit different, maybe there could be something else but League of Legends and Dota. Such small things, honestly, when you look back at it and if you know the history, such small things could mean so much. Anyway, like and subscribe. I'm out.